Okay, let's unpack this.
I am ready. We're doing a deep dive into really the foundations of Israel's golden age.
We are stepping back into the ancient kingdom, focusing on a truly pivotal and, let's be honest, a brutal moment in their history. The dramatic transition of power from the legendary King David to his son Solomon.
And our sources, mainly from the opening chapters of First Kings, they give us this incredible, often raw, and, ruthless look at what was going on.
It's all in there. Political maneuvering, moral dilemmas, and of course that famous moment when a young king asks for the greatest gift imaginable, wisdom.
And this is so much more than just a succession story. I mean, it's a foundational narrative about what true leadership actually requires.
Right.
What wisdom really means in practice, and maybe most importantly, how quickly even small moral compromises can start to undermine divine favor, even for the wisest man who ever lived.
So our mission today is to understand how Solomon secured the throne, the brutal practicality of David's final instructions, and how Solomon, by asking for a hearing heart, unlocked a kingdom of just unparalleled riches and influence.
But also, setting the stage for his eventual downfall.
It's a study in contrast, isn't it? The warrior king leaving the stage and the palace-raised prince stepping into a world of conflict he just wasn't prepared for.
Not at all. And we begin naturally with an ending.
Where else could we start?
Exactly. We start with the end of David's long, very hard life. Our sources set the scene in 1 Kings chapter 2, and David he's finished.
Yeah, the text says he's old and stricken in years.
It does, even though he died at around 70, which to us might not sound that old.
No, not at all. But we have to remember the context of the time.
Absolutely. The sources often point to Psalm 90, which kind of sets the general expectation for a full life at 70 years. And you have to think, David squeezed multiple lives into those Absalom.
And Adonijah's coup attempt had just happened, right at the very end.
Right at the end. This was not a peaceful aging process. This was exhaustion. He was truly stricken in years.
Yet, despite that physical feebleness, his mind is clear. Clear enough for one final address to Solomon.
He begins with this profound, almost stark statement on mortality. He says, I go the way of all the earth.
It's such a classic Old Testament phrase.
It is. It just acknowledges the universal reality that everyone, king or peasant, dies. It's the one journey we all take.
And there's a powerful theological contrast that the analysts point out here.
A huge one. I mean, you see the striking difference between this Old Testament view and the later New Testament perspective. For David, death is the final stage of an earthly life. You return to the dust.
But later, for believers in the New Testament, it's totally transformed.
Completely. In 2 Corinthians 5, it's not just going the way of all the earth. It's going home to be with the Lord. It's a destination. David had this incredible faith, but he lacked that New Testament certainty of an immediate return to Christ. He was just stating a brutal fact of life.
So David, knowing his time is hours away, he gathers Solomon for this core spiritual exhortation. It's concise, it's powerful, and it really sets the stage for everything Solomon is about to face.
He says, be strong, therefore, and prove yourself a man.
We have to stop there, because that phrase, in that culture, from that man to that boy, it just carries so much weight.
Immense weight. We have to contrast David, the speaker, with Solomon, the listener.
David was the archetypal man's man.
Oh, completely. Forged in the wilderness, a shepherd, raised outdoors, a giant slayer, a warrior who wrestled lions and bears. I mean, when he defeated Goliath, he reportedly carried the severed head for miles to present to King Saul. That was his rite of passage.
Raw courage, physical competence.
Yes, but Solomon's world was the polar opposite.
He was the palace kid.
He was the palace kid, raised in absolute luxury, sheltered, educated among women. Bathsheba, the royal harem. He hadn't earned his place through military victories or surviving exile. He was, green, untested.
So when David tells him, be a man, it's a direct challenge to overcome the softness of his upbringing. And he's young too, right? Maybe early 20s.
Probably. It's a necessary cultural corrective, but then David immediately pivots, and this is the genius of it. He shows that for him, true strength isn't physical, it's spiritual.
How does he do that?
He reframes the whole concept. The most manly thing, the true test of courage, is not conforming to culture. It's complete unflinching obedience to God's written law.
So he gives it a whole new definition.
A radical one. He tells Solomon to keep the charge of the Lord your God, to walk in his ways, as it is written in the law of Moses.
So true strength is standing up for an unpopular moral code.
Exactly. It takes zero courage to conform. Any dead fish can float downstream. It takes a living, vital, strong man to swim against the current of culture and stand firm on God's law. that spiritual fidelity is the bedrock.
And there's a promise attached to that obedience.
Twofold, really. First, personal success in everything he does. And second, the continuation of the Davidic dynasty on the throne, as long as his sons walk before God in truth with all their heart.
So personal morality is directly linked to national stability.
That's the charge. But the moment David finishes this spiritual counsel, the tone shifts so dramatically. It goes from theology to brutally practical politics.
It's like he closes the sermon and pulls out a checklist.
Or a hit list. He knows Solomon is inexperienced. There were